In Thailand's wild jungles, nature can be cruel. Animals must survive by following harsh rules where one animal's life often means another's death. But when it comes to our pets, this brutal reality becomes impossible to accept. Sarah and Mark moved to an old family farm near Chiang Mai province. They quickly realized their aging dog could no longer protect their large property that sat next to the wild jungle. This discovery helped them make an important choice. They needed to get a golden retriever. "We need a strong, young dog," Mark told Sarah one night as they sat on their porch, watching their old dog struggle to patrol the land. "We need something that can really protect this place." They named their new puppy Max, and he grew strong under his loving owner's care. Max formed a special bond with Mark. The dog followed him everywhere like a loyal shadow. Max was sweet and gentle, but his behavior sometimes made Sarah nervous. He would suddenly freeze, stare hard into the jungle, and growl quietly, like he could see things humans couldn't see. Soon after the puppy arrived, their old dog died peacefully of old age. Now, when Max went out with Mark, Sarah was left completely alone on the property. For someone who grew up in the city, this was really scary. Thai jungle nights are different from anywhere else. Pitch black with no street lights, full of strange monkey sounds, and constant noise from unknown animals moving through the thick plants. While some might find this thrilling, it's terrifying when you're alone in an old house surrounded by wilderness. When Mark had to spend nights in far parts of their farm, Sarah's worry grew worse. Her husband understood her fears and came up with a caring solution. One afternoon, he came home and called to Sarah, "Honey, can you get something from the truck for me?" On the passenger seat sat a wonderful surprise. A small golden retriever puppy, wagging her tail excitedly and covering Sarah's face with wet kisses. They named the puppy Bella, and she won over both Sarah and Max right away. The two dogs became best friends, but one awful day everything would change in the most heartbreaking way. When Bella turned 3 years old, farm life had settled into a comfortable pattern. Days were calm and routine. Max still went with Mark on his daily farm work, while Bella became Sarah's constant friend and comfort. On that terrible day, Mark returned from work and asked Sarah, "Where's Max?" "I haven't seen him anywhere." Sarah felt fear rush through her. "I haven't seen him all day either," she answered nervously. "I thought he was with you." Right then, panic hit them both. All day long, Bella had been acting strange, barking non-stop and trying to run somewhere, forcing Sarah to keep her locked inside. Now, the couple realized the dog must have sensed something was very wrong. The last time anyone saw Max was early that morning when he went outside first. He always woke up earlier than Bella, who liked to sleep longer. It seemed her choice to stay behind that morning might have been a deadly mistake. Taking Bella on her leash, the worried farmers hoped she would lead them to Max. The dog pulled them forward urgently, barking intensely, and led them down a dusty path behind their house. What they found there filled them with complete terror. The clear trail of a huge python curved across the ground, but that wasn't what caught their attention most. Scattered around were clumps of golden fur, some obviously bloody. Bella made soft crying sounds, and the couple knew instantly. She understood what had happened too. They would never see Max again. As darkness fell, there was nothing more they could do, so they went home with broken hearts. Mark was filled with anger and sadness. "I'm going to find that snake," he said through clenched teeth. "I'm going to make it pay for what it did." At dawn, he went out to hunt for the python. Even though it was too late to save Max, they couldn't let such a dangerous snake stay so close to their home. With a chicken coop in their backyard, they knew how vulnerable they were to future attacks. But even though the python should have been slow and sleepy after eating such a big meal, they couldn't find it. The trail disappeared into the tall grass, as if the snake had somehow vanished into thin air. The farmers searched for several days, but the python seemed to have completely disappeared into the jungle. Months passed. The rainy season arrived, and the python probably found a comfortable spot to rest and wait out the weather. Back home, Sarah and Mark couldn't stop feeling guilty about what happened. Even Bella seemed sad. She slept much more than usual and gained weight from being less active. At least, that's what they thought until Sarah noticed something surprising. Bella was going to have puppies. She was pregnant with Max's babies. It felt like a small miracle, as if part of their beloved dog would return to them. "Look at this," Sarah said excitedly, gently touching Bella's growing belly. "It's like Max is giving us a gift, even after everything that happened." The couple took extra care of Bella, making sure she stayed close to home. Losing her or the unborn puppies would be more than they could handle. They had made all the right plans. Bella was supposed to go to the vet a day or two before she was due to give birth. But puppies, just like human babies, don't follow schedules. One evening, when they came home from dinner, they found Bella in her bed with two tiny puppies beside her. As they watched in wonder, Bella began moving restlessly again, and soon a third puppy was born. However, this one showed no signs of life. Mark carefully picked up the puppy, gently rubbing it, holding it against his chest, and breathing into its tiny nose. "Come on, little one," he whispered desperately. "You can do this." Suddenly, the puppy started breathing. When he was placed back with his mother, everyone could see how much he looked like Max as a puppy. It brought both joy and sadness at the same time. For several months, life was peaceful and happy. The puppies brought so much joy that the pain of losing Max slowly began to heal. But this perfect life couldn't last forever. Danger was much closer than anyone could have imagined. By the start of the dry season, the puppies were old enough to play outside in the yard. The house had a strong fence meant to keep the dogs from wandering into the jungle, but on that day, it wouldn't matter. While Bella was watching the puppies play, something got her attention, a sound or smell. Before she could react, the puppies were dangerously close to a massive python that had somehow gotten into their yard. Bella immediately threw herself between the snake and her babies, desperately trying to protect her puppies. But they were too young and curious to understand the serious danger. Each time one of them moved too close to the snake, Bella would block their way. But it was hard to watch all three at once. Focusing so hard on keeping the puppies safe, she didn't notice the python getting ready to strike. If Bella had been watching the snake instead, she might have been able to avoid its attack. But since this was probably the same python that had killed Max, who knows how it would have ended anyway. Before she could react, the snake wrapped around her, squeezing with incredible force. Sarah was inside when she heard Bella barking loudly. She was about to go outside to see what was wrong when the barking suddenly stopped. "Everything must be okay now," she thought, not knowing that the dog had become quiet because she could no longer breathe. Mark, who was working in his workshop, saw nothing. If either of them had checked the security cameras, they would have immediately seen the terrible danger Bella was facing. The dog was completely trapped in the python's deadly grip, unable to bark and barely able to breathe. Was this going to be the end? Would the snake leave the three puppies without their mother? The python squeezed even tighter, and then something amazing happened. Just when all hope seemed lost, all three puppies started barking frantically. They even tried to bite the snake, though their tiny bites were no more than pinpricks. Their loud barking only made the python angrier, causing it to bite down on Bella to get a better hold and squeeze even harder. The puppies couldn't actually help their mother physically, but their desperate barking got Sarah's attention. She had never heard them bark in such a panicked way before. The fact that Bella's barking had stopped completely now scared her even more. What she saw when she looked into the yard filled her with complete horror. Her beloved Bella was trapped in the coils of one of the biggest pythons she had ever seen. The 3 puppies were running around frantically, watching helplessly as the snake crushed their mother. Without wasting a second, Sarah quickly put the puppies in a nearby cage. It was important to keep them safe. She screamed as loudly as she could for Mark to bring vinegar and come right away. "Mark, Mark, get the vinegar and come now! Hurry!" she shouted desperately. Hearing Sarah's terrified screams, Mark instantly knew something terrible had happened. He suspected it was the same python that had killed Max. The couple was absolutely determined not to lose another dog to this creature. Pouring vinegar on the python's head, they knew it might hurt Bella's wounds, but saving her life was more important than anything else. The snake loosened its grip slightly, trying to get rid of the burning feeling. This gave Mark and Sarah the chance they needed to slip their hands between the snake and Bella. "Start at the tail," Mark told Sarah breathlessly. "That's where it's weakest." Starting at the tail end, the python's most vulnerable spot, they carefully began unwrapping its coils. At the same time, they worked to keep the snake's head away from Bella to prevent it from biting her again. Soon, Bella was free from the python's grip. Though they had no idea how badly she might be hurt inside, she began breathing deeply and making small whining sounds. She was alive. While Mark held the snake firmly, Sarah ran to get a large container. They could have gotten revenge on the creature that had already taken one dog from them and nearly killed another. But they were people who believed in trying to live peacefully with nature. "We're not killers," Sarah said firmly, though her voice shook with emotion. "This snake is just trying to survive, same as us." They understood that the python was simply a wild animal following its survival instincts. Killing it for revenge wasn't the right answer. However, leaving it anywhere near their home wasn't an option either. It would probably return again and again looking for easy prey. After making air holes in the container lid, they decided to deal with the snake later. Right now, getting Bella to the vet was the most urgent priority. They secured the puppies safely inside the house and rushed to the animal hospital. Bella was awake and alert but clearly in pain. The python could have broken her bones or caused serious internal injuries. They also needed to make sure the bite wound wouldn't get infected. Even though pythons don't have poison, any wound can become seriously infected if not treated properly. X-ray pictures showed several cracked ribs, but overall, Bella was incredibly lucky. If the puppies hadn't tried to protect her and hadn't alerted the humans to the danger, things could have ended very differently. For many days after, they had to make sure the puppies didn't jump on their mother or bother her healing injuries. They carefully cleaned and treated her bite wound and gave her all the medicine the vet had prescribed. To their enormous relief, Bella recovered quickly and completely. Now their entire family was safe and sound. Sarah and Mark decided to keep all 3 puppies. They had plenty of room on their farm for 4 dogs. The male puppy that Mark had saved at birth grew up to look exactly like his father, developing the same strong bond with Mark that Max had once shared. As for the python, it was carefully taken to a nature preserve where it could live freely without threatening anyone. "Every creature deserves to live," Mark said as they watched the snake being taken away. "We just need to respect each other's space." Every evening, as the sun sets behind the tropical forest, Sarah and Mark smile happily, watching their 4-legged family playing together. Bella keeps a careful eye on her children, who guard the farm with dedication and loyalty. Though the pain of losing Max will never completely go away, his spirit lives on in his puppies, and his story has become a local legend about love, loyalty, and the importance of protecting those you care about most. Did you like this story? After Sarah and Mark captured the python responsible for Max's death and Bella's near-fatal encounter, which option would you have picked? Eliminate it as payback or move it to a secure distant location? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Enjoyed the tale? Hit subscribe and give us a thumbs up. Our decisions reflect our true character and deepest priorities. We appreciate you tuning in. Catch you in our next episode. Wishing you a wonderful day.